here's the cab. Roof is good. I want the back window. This whole section right here. That way I can graft the whole thing into the back of that truck. Pretty cool, pretty cool. All right, so we got the cab back to the shop, and I'm gonna just trim off all the sheet metal that I want to keep, and just discard the rest of it that I don't need, and I'll cut out everything a little big just in case to see what I want to use. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut around this front edge all the way, and I'm going to keep this roof skin because you never know what you can use it for, but you know, chopping a top or whatever, it might even work on that. I have the other roof skin I cut off the Chevy truck for that, but I'm going to keep this roof skin too. You just never know what's going to work the best. So since the guy gave it to me with the back window, I might as well use it. So I'm just going to cut it off right around the edges all the way. And then what I'll do is I'll cut around here, come around the back. And it's kind of nice that he gave, you know, all this so I can kind of decide what I want to do with it, you know, or not do with it. But for now, I'm actually going to cut around this edge here. Down there. And then across, there's a line right here in the body. You might not be able to see it, but there's a line there. So I'm going to cut along this line here. And then I'll cut all around this. Cut around that line there. And then I'll have to come through and figure out what to cut loose inside. There's, you know, the bracing and stuff like that to get this whole thing to come off. Yeah, just kind of go with that for now. I might spend a little more time cutting this apart just because you never know how much of this or what you're going to need. So I don't want to cut this off yet until I'm in the. I don't want to cut all this off yet until I'm in my video cut off there. Anyway, I'm gonna cut off as much as I can to keep it complete, and then once I chop the top on the Datsun, then I will cut this up as needed. But for now, I want to try to keep it as much of it possible together in one piece as I can, and then go from there. That's pretty much it, really. So there's headliner and stuff in here still, so I'll pull that stuff out, and I'll go ahead and chop this thing up enough to where I can at least make it manageable to use. So, but other than that, the other thing I noticed is that obviously every truck is different. If you look at the angle of the window, I'll put this back here so you can see it good. So the angle of the pillar and the angle of the window are the same. On the Datsun, they are not the same. They're a little different. But when you put this up on the Datsun, it's noticeably different. And I'm going to take this out there, and I have the window up there right now, and I'm going to show you. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that yet. But I was really hoping to use this factory glass. But if it doesn't look right, I will shorten the bottom and just get a new piece of glass made. It's just flat glass and just have it tempered, so it's not a big deal. But if that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do. So I'll kind of show you. So this is the Toyota glass, and you can see how that's going to go. It's going to look so much better with that glass there. It's going to take up and get, just kind of clean that whole area up where all this stuff sticks out, and do all that. But that's why I want to use as much of that roof as possible. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to use it all the way up to here and graft it in. I'm not sure yet, but you can see this angle and this angle are different. So the Toyota one is leaned in a lot more than this one is. So what that means is that my side windows are flatter on this than they are on the Toyota, which is good because when I'm done with this, I'm going to put real glass back in here. And these have such a slight curve. What I've done with a few other trucks, these older ones that I've chopped, I've done an extra cab one of these that we actually used the original. We had just flat glass made, and tempered, and I was able to get it to fit in there. My Hilux that I had chopped, the one that was on Mini Truck in the cover, that actually had flat glass I had made for that also, and I adjusted the channels and got that all to fit too, so it actually had flat glass on the sides, and I was able to make all that work. Which I want real glass. I don't like whenever they add onto the pillar up here in the front, it gets fatter. I want it to look original, stock. So, but the bottom line is that I don't think I like this. Once I chop this and get it all to fit, I might end up actually shortening, bringing this in here and shortening this here a little bit, and that way it has a nice edge there. Or I may think that, you know, I don't know if I like that. Might make it longer up here. I'm not sure yet. We'll wait until we get it all down here and see how it looks in there, and then I'll make that determination and make that all work. I probably would like to bring the bottom in. That way I can reuse the factory gasket all the time, just cut it in the middle at the bottom, and that would be super easy. So that's kind of what I'm thinking right now. But as you can see, it's kind of cool. It takes up this whole area. The roof be down about, I haven't decided if I'm going to chop it 2.5 or 3 inches yet. These trucks also, something else. A lot of people, I don't know, but they always have bugged me. If you look at the roof and you look at this pillar, this goes uphill. And I hate the way that looks. It looks like to me like the roof is, you know, it's slanted down, and I hate that. It drives me nuts. My Hilux was that way, and I chopped the front 1/2 inch more to fix that issue. The extra cabs, I've done a couple of these in an extra cab. I did the same thing. I brought the front down a little bit more, so that way it was nice and level. And I will do that on this one too, to where this is actually brought down and level and not going uphill, because it looks like you screwed it up. They even factory look a little messed up. I don't really like how it looks. So I will do that also on this truck. So just little things like that, you know, just all those things, you know, all that stuff matters and how it looks when it's all said and done. You want the flow of the roof to be nice. You want it to all flow good and look good. It would have looked better if the front of that was down a hair, you know, but not that way. That looks terrible. So that's pretty much the plan right now. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to go in and I'm going to start buzzing that all up and just kind of getting that out of the way and setting it aside for whenever I'm ready to start to work on it. And we'll see. I may end up just cutting the top of the roof skin off of this one too to get it apart. We'll just see how it all comes apart. Just depends. You never know. So we'll see. But other than that, just check it out and see the progress here. We'll get going on it in just a minute. All right, getting ready to start cutting this thing off. Extension cords over here. I love all these extension cords you pull out of the Whoop. See them all? They're all in reels. They're the best. I hate having stuff on the floor. Old and OCD or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. I just hate walking and tripping over stuff. I like it all up and out of the way. All right. Start cutting this guy up. Getting some stuff done. Just another thing, I'm only cutting through the skin. I'm not cutting through the whole structure. I only cut through the structure where I have to. There's no reason to do all that. Just leave it. Waste. All right, got the whole front around the sides, around there, getting ready to start to cut in the back. We'll go through a little fast forward mode, doing the rest of it. You don't need to see it. You don't need to see a little bit of it, I'm sure. So, sorry about that, I'm losing you guys here. All right. Sorry about that. All right, so some of you might be going, well, you know, why didn't you just cut, you know, the whole thing, and or why are you cutting so much? Or I just don't know what I'm going to need yet. I've never done this before on this car, this truck, so I don't know. Same as you, I'm just experimenting also. I just know that I can make it work, you know, so I just know that no matter what, I'm going to make this happen. So I just want to leave as much material as possible, and that way I might not use any of this. I don't know. So, but it's there if I need it. And when I go to graft it on, sometimes it's nice to have stuff there to kind of mock up and see. Sometimes it takes its own shape, and you just got to kind of go with the flow of what it takes too. You don't want to force something whenever, you know, it actually looks good and looks nice and it's like fitting up there. There's no reason to force it and make it look funky. You know, I mean, people do jobs and custom cars, and they do all this crazy like amount of work, and they're super talented. And at the end, it looks like a big piece of poop. So it's like, yeah, it's a lot of work. Yeah. You know, I mean, I admire and, you know, I understand all that, and, you know, it's great that you're that talented, and, you know, I definitely admire that kind of work, but you still want it to look good at the end of the day, you know. Just because you can do that doesn't mean, you know, you want it to look like crap, you know. You want it to have some good style and shape, you know. That's you know, it's all about styling and making it look better, not worse, you know. You want to enhance the way it looks. So anyways, that's what I'm going to do right now. Finish cutting the rest of this up and check it out. All right, had to stop filming for a second so I could figure out what I needed to do to get all this cut loose. I don't want to just keep cutting and mess something up that I could be using later. So if you look inside here, there's all this structure that runs up inside of there, and I need to slowly get it away so that way I can just keep this inner structure here around where I'm going to be using the window. So I need to cut little pieces at a time to get through here and around that to get it all to come off how I want. So I need to use a plasma cutter to do that. Just a little bit at a time. Got to cut through some spot welds and some other stuff. But kind of a funny story about that. So I told my daughter I was going to get the roof today for this project, which is, you know, kind of doing this for her and my grandson like we talked about. You know, be kind of a cool thing. Keeping the family. And she goes, oh, what are you going to do? Are you going to take that fire melty thing and cut the roof off? And I'm like, what? She goes, yeah, the fire melty thing that you have. I'm like, fire melty thing. I go, you mean the plasma cutter? And she goes, yeah, that thing. I said, no, we don't use the fire cutty thing to cut the roof off because the fire cutty thing will create too much heat and ruin it. And it was not very clean. I go, I use the cutoff wheel. And she goes, oh, the circle thing. I said, yes. And she goes, well, why don't you use the fire cutty thing then? And I said, because it gets it too hot. And I go, you can use it for certain things, but, well, guess what? I'm using the fire cutty thing to cut the roof off now. So she'll be happy to see that I'm using the fire cutty thing now. I use the cutoff wheel everywhere I can, so I'll use the fire cutty thing, which is right here. This is the fire cutty thing. It's right here. The fire and the cutting comes out of there when you pull the trigger. So actually, I'll use this to cut through all the stuff that I can't get through with the cutoff wheel and slowly try to trim it away best I can, without ruining anything too much here, and try to be able to keep everything salvageable. So I'm going to use the fire cutty thing. So anyway, here we go with that. And I'll go ahead and, like I said, I'll kind of speed it back up. You don't need to see every little bit of that, and I'll show you once I get it all cut off. All right, Marley, so we're going to use the fire cutty thing. All right, well, after we used the fire cutty thing, I was able to get all these pieces out. Now you can see how many pieces are inside of there to keep it strong. You roll it over or whatever. When I put this all into the other truck, I mean, I'm probably not using any of this right here. I'll be using, once I chop it, I'll cut all that stuff out and redo all that. But for now, I'm keeping it just because I don't know. Maybe it overlaps, maybe it doesn't. Who knows? I'm just gonna save it though. So I wanted to cut it out and keep as much of it as I can. And what I'll do is I'll come to this inside structure here. I left it as long as I pretty much could there, and then I can attach all this to the inside of the other one when I put this window in. So as you can see, it's not like you just slam it in. There's a lot of work that's involved with it. So this side's all cut out all the way up there around to this side. So now I'm gonna use the fire cutty thing on this side and the cutoff wheel, the circle thing on this side. And I'll get this side off. You can probably see this stuff's catching on fire as I'm going. This is another thing. You guys gotta be really careful when you're doing stuff around these. This stuff is so damn flammable, it's ridiculous. The good news is that you're able to see it all. But don't ever cut whenever you think this might be under there without pulling the headliner or something. Because it'll go right out. Just, you can see even with the air, I'm using even the grinder air as I'm going, or the torch air. But just, yeah, it will definitely burn. So anyway, so that's where we're at. I'll go ahead and pop off this other side real quick. I think that'll be it for the night. Get all this wrapped up, and yeah, I'm pretty happy about the way that's looking. All right. Cool. All right, so all of it's cut out. Let's see, kind of messy in there still. You don't want to touch all this to cut the crap out of you. So you can see if you take your time, I cut it all the way, all the structure out, all the way to where the window is attached right here. And then when I go to put this in to attach all the structure, so what I'll do is I'll pop off these spot welds right here on the edge, cut this here nice and clean somewhere, pop that edge off, and then I'll put a new edge on it, re-spot weld it in, so that way it looks all factory. So, but for now I'm just gonna leave that edge, but I cut everything to the edge on both sides, so everything's gone, okay? So everything's cut out and ready to go. As you can see, I mean, there's a lot of crap in there. But this is the end result. Basically, now I just have a skin up here, which I'm just, like I said, I'm leaving it on there. I don't know whether I can use it or not use it. I don't know. But for now, I'm leaving it until that truck's chopped down and I'm gonna be able to measure the width and all that. If not, I'll just whack that off of there and just cut it out and put the back window in like I was planning on it. So it's no big deal. Left this long so that way I can put this down behind the cab wherever and cut to weld that in. I'm actually going to, this truck's gonna be, the plan is to make it a unibody anyway, but I wanna put that down and then I'll smooth the whole back section in or whatever. That's kind of the plan. You know, I got all these ideas in my head. We'll see what comes to fruition here. So the bottom line is that we're trying to make this thing just like a cool truck with a lot of old school touches with some new stuff that we're doing and things that I've, you know, thought were cool or I've done and would like to do again on something like this. So at the end of the day, we're not trying to make this some full frame off or take the wheels off show truck. That's not the plan with this. This is just to make everything functional and work good, lay on the ground. Super nice bodywork paint, clean interior, motor compartment, just clean, simple, you know, just kind of make a nice clean truck, you know. So that's kind of it that you can drive. The driver, you want to be able to hop in and drive this thing anywhere. All my trucks have been that way, and that's how I want it to be. So, but there's some cool body mods I want to do to this thing, so I think it'll make it really, really look good and kind of set it apart from anything that I've been done before. Some cool little things. So this is kind of where we are now. So just wanted to get that all ready, and the next task will be to pull everything out of the inside of the truck the rest of the way, to go ahead and chop it and get the chop down, tacked together, and then we'll start to figure out all this kind of stuff here. So stay tuned to see the next episode of this. And as you can see, it's dark, so I only get so much time to work on this. I got to do it after hours. I'm not working on customers' cars or on the weekend whenever, you know, I have some free time of my own. So that's kind of what we're doing right now. So I'm just kind of bear with it and show you the progress. Try to get something done every week if possible. All right. Check it out. Hopefully you like it. Click like or whatever. If you want to see some more stuff or whatever, just leave a comment. I'll get back to you. All right. Thanks.